Welcome back. Stephanie with Martelli Enterprises here. On behalf of the entire Martelli family, I'd like to congratulate you on the purchase of the Martelli Longarm. This video, we're going to cover some troubleshooting as it relates to the machine. Before I begin, what I'd like to discuss with you is when that machine was delivered to your home and set up, it was set up with exact precision. So your timing was situated, your tension was adjusted. If you experience an issue, the first thing that you want to think is, what has changed? Have I changed my needle? Have I changed my bobbin? Ask yourself those questions. More importantly, if you're frustrated, we understand. If you need to walk away, walk away. I also encourage you, contact a Martelli representative. Let us know what issue you're experiencing. By doing this, we alleviate you going in and adjusting any of those precise, exact measurements that have already been done on your machine. Okay, now that we've taken a couple deep breaths and we're ready to get back to the machine, the first thing that we want to check, we've already determined that nothing has changed since we experienced the issue. We haven't changed thread, we haven't changed bobbin, we haven't changed needle. Changing the needle, we want to make sure that we put the needle in properly. If the needle is put in backwards, it will cause a lot of issues for your machine, as it will with any machine. Unlike a sewing machine, the long arm needles do not have the flat spot on them, so it's a little bit of a guesswork as to the needle placement. If you take the needle, the new needle, because we've determined we've got to change that needle out, you're going to take your finger and slide it along the edge. Your fingernail will slide into a groove, okay? There's a groove on the front of this needle. That needs to be at the front of the machine, so that groove should be facing you. Also, make sure that the needle is placed in that needle bar all the way up. We don't want to have it too low so that it drags down there and can bend on us. Make sure you've tightened that screw down as well. That can cause an issue. Have that needle slide out. So groove is going to face the front. We've got the needle inserted all the way into the needle arm or bar, and we've got that screw tightened. That's going to be inserting your needle. Something else that you can do it seems monotonous, and sure, my machine's threaded correctly, the frustration, we get it, we understand it, but stop, take a deep breath, and rethread your machine. There are spots on this machine, the metal hook on the side, that if you've moved the machine too fastly, that thread can hop off. So stop, take a deep breath, rethread your machine. You may think it's 100% accurate, it looks accurate, but it can sometimes very easily fix that problem that you're having. So stop, rethread your machine. If everything looks fine to you and you're not sure you've rethreaded it, maybe go back and watch the threading video. Check your user's manual. Make sure that machine is threaded properly. Quick, easy solution. So if we're experiencing issues on our top thread, we see that there's an issue, or we can see that we're using two different colors, we've got some issues with our bobbin, and we've changed our bobbin. Pull that bobbin case out and let's just make sure that we've got it in properly. We may think that we've got it in there and it's not the problem. Surely it's something else. Go follow these steps and let's just recheck and make sure that we've got everything proper. So we're going to pop out the bobbin, and here's what we want to do. We want to take the bobbin, and it's going to make a letter P. So if I lay this flat here so we can get a better shot of it, if you look, here's the tail, here's the loop of the P. So I've got a letter P. I'm going to take the bobbin case, okay, openings at the top, and I am going to pop it into place. Now we're going to come around, drop the thread into the notch, and wrap it around, and our bobbin is threaded. Most important, when you have inserted a new bobbin, you want to make sure that as you pull this tail, that bobbin inside the case spins counterclockwise. We don't want it to spin clockwise. Thread for your machine. We strongly recommend Superior King Tut or Magnifico thread. We like the 30 weight thread, cotton or poly, doesn't matter, whatever your personal preference is. If you decide to use some old thread that you have and you start experiencing some breakage, chances are it's the type of thread. You've got to make sure that you're using quilting thread on the machine. embroidery threads probably not going to work and may cause thread breakage issues. If you want to go with a lighter weight thread, you're going to want to slow down on your movements. Lighter weight is going to be a thinner thread. So what does that mean? Thread potentially can break. So that's something else that you might want to consider is, what thread am I using? Have I changed my thread to a different thread? Do I know for sure it's quilting thread? What weight is it? Something else to consider if we're experiencing breakage. Also, pre-wound bobbins. Years ago, pre-wound bobbins no one liked them. It was a cheater method. Pre-wound bobbins have come a very, very long way. You're going to get a lot more thread on a pre-wound bobbin, and they're wound more accurately. So pre-wound bobbins aren't something to shy away from. They've come a long way, and they run great in the machines. Superior has the bottom line that they have their pre-wound bobbins. They're great. Don't be afraid of trying them. Chances are that's what's in your machine when we brought it to you. This is something that every Longarm owner should own if you don't already have one. This is an M bobbin tension gauge. Super, super simple to use, and is also a great tool for you to know if your tension is set properly or not. This obviously is going to work on our bobbin only. All right, so we're going to take the bobbin and we're going to the thread and we're going to feed it through. Wrap it around those discs. Around those wheels there. Slide it under there, and we're going to gently pull on it. And if you notice, it fluctuates a little bit, but it pretty much stays right around 100. So this is a pre-wound bobbin. The adjustment for that should be 100. So that bobbin is actually, the tension's perfect on that. Again, 100 for your pre-wounds and 200 for a bobbin that you would wind yourself. Now these are available, the M bobbin tension gauges are available through Martelli's. So if you don't have one, definitely worth making the call and getting one for it. If you've experienced breakage numerous times, one thing that you want to do, regardless of the solution to your thread breakage, is to, while the bobbin is out, you want to come down in here and you want to look and make sure there's no stray threads in there. A stray thread in the bobbin housing can cause issues. So raise your frame. You may even want to climb down underneath to make sure that there's no thread wrapped around the back gears or the rod back in there. There can be thread in there that's not visible to the eye, so you will want to get down and check that out and make sure. You may also want to remove the needle plate. Not a bad idea. Pick this up, make sure that no top thread or bobbin thread is stuck on top of that bobbin house. So top tension. We've gone over the bottom tension. Let's talk top tension. This is the pre-tensioner knob, or the naughty girl or boy knob. We don't want to adjust that. Let's move down to the actual top tension adjusting knob here. So if we have an issue with our top tension, we don't want to grab onto this knob and just crank it righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. You want to be mindful of making that adjustment. We strongly recommend that you twist this 2 clicks at a time. I'm not going to turn this because this machine's tension is perfect, but 2 clicks at a time. I like to keep a notepad. If I'm going to adjust my top tension, I'll keep just a little scratch piece of paper that I know, okay, I went 2 clicks to the right, stitched a little, and it still isn't any better, or it's worse. I can now back up 2 clicks to the left and get, although it's bad, get to my original starting point and then make adjustments from there. So not a bad idea to keep track of your clicks. Inevitably, if we don't write it down and we're clicking away and the phone rings, we got sidetracked, we forget how many clicks we were at. So not a bad idea to track those. Okay, so I hope that this is the least of your problems. But sometimes, if you look at this guy here will raise our presser foot up and down. Sometimes that'll happen and you won't even realize it. So the guide that raises that up will jump in behind the bar that raises it. Super simple. We're going to take the presser foot bar and we're going to lift up and put that guide back down. Now, whoops, now that foot will raise and lower just like it was supposed to. Don't worry, you haven't broken it. That's an easy adjustment. The next issue you will only experience when you're running Qbots. So when you're running designs from your Android tablet, it'll never happen to you when you're running in stitch regulation or manual. Again, only relating to Qbots. There are drive wires that run the length of the frame, so X and Y, and then there's also one back here. They move the machine for Qbots. If they become loose, that design will not stitch out properly. It'll stitch a little wonky. You'll notice on your tablet that the guide is not following the pattern as it should. That can be an issue. Super easy fix on that. We'll just tighten up those drive wires. But again, contact Martelli's, let us know what it's doing it. Let us guide you with that. We've determined that the drive wires are loose. So now what I want to do is show you how we make those adjustments. So we're going to go to the turnbuckle up here under the top of the frame. Okay. To make the adjustments, we're going to hold the hook on the outside and then twist this to make our adjustments. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. If you don't hold onto this hook, one side will loosen, one side will tighten, defeating the purpose and causing more issues. So make sure that you're holding onto the outside hook and then twisting the nut. We've adjusted the X drive wire. Now we're going to come to the Y. The Y drive wire sits right on top of our machine, just underneath the carriage. So the same thing. We're going to hold on to the back hook and twist the nut to make our adjustments. So we're going to twist here and make sure that we hold on there. All right, and then lastly, if you notice, we've got some excessive wires hanging back here, right? The first thing we're going to want to do is probably take those, wind them up, put some zip ties around them, make it look a little cleaner. There's a reason why these wires are hanging. If you restrict the length of those cords, when you go to move the machine, you're going to feel some tension and the machine's not going to function properly. When the technician left your home or your location after setting it up, the cords are just as they need to be. Keep in mind, you've got the actuators for the frame to ride up and down, plus you've got all of the wires for the functioning of not only Qbot, if that's the option you've chosen, but the machine as well. So don't wire tie. We don't need to play with cleaning up those wires back there. It'll be okay. If you have issues that buttons aren't functioning properly on the machine, they have connectors as well. There's no real reason why they should come loose, but for example, if my left button isn't working, go and check. Make sure that connection is still intact. Quick, easy solution there for you. If we've unplugged some cords because we want to do some deep cleaning, for some reason the power converter plug has come unplugged. If we tie up cords, that could possibly happen. But anyway, regardless, plugging this back in, we want to make sure that we have the 110 plug plugged into the 110 hole. The 220, that's actually coming from the machine, goes into the bottom plug. If you're experiencing issues that are not related to thread breakage, electric or electronic type issues, the first thing that you're going to want to do is power the machine down. We're going to do that on the actual machine for 20 to 30 seconds minimal. So power it down, good time to walk away and take that deep breath, come back, power it back up, and see if it doesn't help alleviate that issue for you. So that wraps up our troubleshooting segment on the Martelli Longarm. Hope that you found some useful tips and tricks in there. I can't stress to you enough though, if you're a new machine owner and you're experiencing something, when the technician left your home, the machine was tested, everything again was set to perfection. So if nothing has changed and we're having thread breakage or an issue that you feel that you need to make an adjustment to your machine, stop. We'll get you to that spot where you'll be comfortable making those adjustments. But in the beginning, you're gonna wanna contact us. Let us help you recognize what your issue is. Again, thanks for watching. Hope you found this beneficial and happy quilting.